I studied at the best fashion school in the world and landed an internship at Dior right after graduation. But then I left the fashion industry. So in this video, I'll share my experiences at IFM, the school I went to in Paris, my experience at Dior, what I'm doing now, and my reasons behind my exit from the fashion industry. So I studied design at IFM Paris for 3 years, right after high school, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree. So I learned a lot from this school, especially hard skills, like fashion design, sewing, knitwear, footwear and bags, fashion history, you name it. I learned a lot. And the way the school works is that each year is kind of organized around your individual projects. And these individual projects are in the design class, which is, the most important class. And you complete around 3 individual projects each year, and you do everything, from finding the inspiration to designing the clothes to sewing them. And of course, you get some feedback and some direction from your professors. And on top of this, you also have, other classes that support these projects and help you develop them further. For example, I've been talking about it already, but you have knitwear, sewing, software class, a lot of different classes. And at the end of each project, you present your work in front of a jury of industry professionals, which is really great, because it makes your projects and your work, even more real in a way. And IFM also teaches you, a lot of soft skills, from managing multiple projects with really tight deadlines to develop, really strong time management skills, or, develop resilience under huge pressure. You also learn the importance of, storytelling and clear communication. Presenting your work to a jury or, explaining your design ideas, clear communication is really essential. And one thing IFM really did for me is that it really helped me structure my creativity. Before going there, I had, lots of different ideas. I still do, but all my ideas were, all over the place. And IFM helped me structure these ideas and, organize them clearly. So after graduating IFM, I got an internship at Dior Men, which felt kind of surreal because I didn't have a lot of experience in the fashion industry at the time. So I interned as a leather goods product manager assistant, so I got to see the entire product life cycle. From the initial designs with the designers all the way to working with the manufacturers, in Italy. So my daily tasks included managing product information, so the different colors, different materials. I also analyze a lot of competitors, and I also mainly work with the designers, making sure that each product they were creating really reflected the brand's mission and vision in a way. The internship was amazing because it really gave me a broad overview of how the whole company worked. I was working with different departments, the designers, the manufacturers, the marketing department, the press. I worked with all of these departments, so I got to see the entire product cycle, from the designers from the idea created by the designers all the way to the product when the product is put in stores. So I got to see everything, kind of the 360, and this is exactly what I needed. Not be stuck in one department without knowing how the rest of the company worked as a whole. And what was really great to see as well is how all the different departments worked together to create an amazing collection. And my favorite part of the internship was working closely with the designers because they are the heart of the company. They create everything. They create the products who are going to be sold. So that was really interesting, seeing how they, from a mood board, how they create different designs, and they each have different ideas and how they come together to create this great collection. And one thing I will remember from that internship is that 4 years earlier, I was in my room, watching the Dior Men show, and I was amazed by them. And I told myself one day I'll be there, without having zero idea of how we'll end up there. And 4 years later, I was there working with them at the shows, helping them with the product, with the fittings. So that was a kind of a full circle moment. That was really great. And at the end of my internship at Dior, I had a different path I could have taken. I could have stayed in the fashion industry, find another job at another company, or maybe stay at Dior. But I made the difficult choice, to step away from the fashion industry, which is an industry that I love that industry. And the reason is that I really wanted to focus on building skills that were a bit more aligned with my long-term vision and goals. The decision wasn't easy, but I knew that in order to reach my long-term goals, I needed to step back from the fashion industry and really focus on acquiring skills that were more aligned with my, with the bigger picture. This is a message to you, sometimes in order to reach your big goals, it means taking steps that don't feel obvious in the short term. And that's why I tell everyone that it's crucial to have, at least a rough idea of where you want to end up in the long term. Because what you do now should set you up for the future. One of my goals is to eventually come back to the fashion industry and be a really great designer. But in order to do that successfully, I realized that I really needed to understand what comes after the design process. Which is the sales process, the business aspect, what drives people to buy, and knowing how to sell and who you're selling to, and understanding what resonates with your target audience is just as important as the creative process itself. And that's why I decided to leave the fashion industry temporarily, to build a really strong foundation in, business, sales, marketing, human psychology even. After my internship, I really focused on gaining, hands-on experience in all these different areas. So I started a few different businesses, some of them failed, but some of them succeeded and are still succeeding today. I also freelance with different companies from all around the world, and I also work in a startup where I contributed to different aspect of the company, from the sales aspect to marketing aspect to even the supply chain aspect. These experiences taught me a lot about the customer journey, what attracts and retains a customer to your company, why certain customers make different, buying decisions. As a designer, I think learning all of these things can only make your work as a designer, a better work, stronger work. Because you're not, at the end of the day, you're not designing for yourself, you're designing for other people. And the key thing to understand here is that every company on earth exists to make money, to serve their customers to the best of their abilities. And when I was at Dior, some designers didn't understand that process, and they just wanted to create the design clothes that they liked without considering, the ideal customer of Dior. And sometimes the marketing department had to, guide the designers, because their decisions, the decisions from the marketing department, was based on market trends or on what the Dior clientele, ideal customers wanted, not on what they liked and they wanted to wear. Everything was based on their ideal customer. Understanding customers, lifestyle, habits, needs helps you design with them in mind. For example, let's say you're making and you're designing a jacket for your ideal customers, who are people who value functionality in their day-to-day life. And adding something functional to the jacket, like a specific pocket, shows that you understand them, you understand their lifestyle, you understand their needs. So everything you design is for them, specifically for them. So in the end, leaving the fashion industry was difficult, was painful, but I had to see the bigger picture overall. When understanding cash flow, marketing, sales, human psychology, business in general, I know will help me become a better designer down the line. And when I eventually return to the fashion industry, I'll bring a deeper understanding of what it takes to create a successful product and reach the people it's made for. Now, you don't need to follow the exact path I did. Everyone's journeys is different, but if you are an aspiring creative or just starting out your career, here are 2 tips that I believe can really help you down the line. The first tip is to get as clear as possible about your long-term goals. Where do you want to end up in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? You don't need to know every single detail, no one does, but at least have kind of a rough idea of where you want to end up, having a rough destination can guide you. It's like boarding a plane. You know the destination before going to that plane, and the pilot knows where the plane is headed, so he can best prepare the best path to get to that destination. Your goals are your destination, and once you have them, you can kind of map out the steps to get there. Once you have a clear vision of where you want to go, reverse engineer the whole process. Break down the steps you need to take to get there, kind of creating a personal roadmap. But something really important here is that there are different ways for you to reach that goal. There's not one single way. If one step doesn't work, stay flexible and adjust your approach. The key is to change your method if needed, but never change your goal. The second advice is learn how to sell. The ability to sell is crucial, and when you think about it, at its core, selling is just, an exchange of value. That's it. Whether you're selling a product or service or yourself and your ideas, selling can open so many doors for you. So I would say learn the basics of marketing, sales, human psychology, how to sell yourself, your ideas, how to communicate and promote yourself and your ideas. And the best way to apply what you learn is, start freelancing or, start a small business with the skills you already have. Ultimately, having long-term goals and learning how to sell are skills that can really make you irreplaceable no matter where you are in your career, at the beginning, the middle, the end. It can really make you replaceable no matter where it takes you. So in conclusion, my journey from IFM to Dior to my decision to step away from the fashion industry to what I'm doing now has really helped me understand more about creativity and business overall. Now, should you do the same thing I did? Absolutely not. But I think it's crucial for you to figure out, your long-term goals and learning how to sell, how to sell a product or service, or even just to sell yourself, your products, your ideas, your designs. I would say these are the main two things you should really focus on, no matter where you are in your journey. Just a student or not even a student yet, or you started your career already. Having your long-term goals figured out and learning how to sell are going to make you irreplaceable, which is super important. You can start by freelancing, to other companies, other people, starting a small business with the skills you already have. Learn about marketing, sales, customer journey, identify your ideal customers. You learn so much more by doing than just by, learning. Even if you're a designer or an aspiring designer, learning all of this is really important, because at the end of the day, every single thing you create is for the people. And so learning how marketing works, how to identify your ideal customer, the customer journey, what makes a customer like your clothes or not, learning about market trends. All of this is super important, especially for a designer, because everything you create, it's for them. It's for your ideal customer, not for you. Now, if you have any questions about, my experience at IFM, my experience at Dior, or any questions about what I'm doing now even, send me a message on Instagram and I'll respond.